Welcome to another edition of the MMA Lockcast Live. I'm your host, Manpreet, aka MMA Lock of the Night, and your boy on Twitter at MMALOTN. This week we're going over UFC 265, headlined by an interim heavyweight title fight between Cyril Gane and Derek the Black Beast Lewis. And this is another late night edition of the MMA Lockcast. Seems like people are enjoying this, past midnight show. So, it didn't really work out for me in terms of, I planned to do it at this time, but I try to get my work done and then do the podcast as soon as I can. So, tonight it falls on a Wednesday night or Thursday early morning for some of you guys that are actually staying up and watching or sticking around with me. I appreciate you guys as always. Yeah, decent card that we got coming up. First and foremost, shout out to Anakin Florian. Just got their merch a day or two ago, or actually yesterday, I should say, right before I went to the Blue Jays games. It showed up at my door. So I'm like, you know what? Let me rep it tomorrow, and then I'm going to rep it again on my MMA Lockcast Live. I did order something else too that I'll eventually rock on the show as well. But I love me those Anakin Florian guys. So shout out to the Anakin Florian squad, Cody Merrow, Ian Parker, and all those guys. Love that show. But yeah, interesting week that I got coming up. So on Friday, I'm actually flying out to Saskatchewan to visit the in-laws, and that's going to obviously cut into my content time. So the Ultimate Weigh-In show is actually going to be going down pretty much right after the weigh-ins wrap up, or at least the ceremonial weigh-ins. Once those ceremonial weigh-ins wrap up, I'll look to get the Ultimate Weigh-In show going. I can't announce the cast yet because I'm still waiting on these guys to confirm, but I have two heavy hitters within the game that I can't wait to get on the show, and I'm hoping that I can actually confirm them for this Friday. But as soon as I get the go ahead, I'll let you guys know, and then I can get you guys ready for the Friday show. Again, no set time yet. It should be right after the ceremonial weigh-ins, but I'll confirm as soon as I get some more info. And then obviously the Fight Day live chat. I'm not sure if I'll actually be doing that at the same time, or if I'll even do it at all when I'm out there in Saskatchewan. But we'll see what my schedule is like that day. See if the families or the in-laws have anything planned for any specific times. But I've told them that we're doing a fight night that night, so I'm actually gonna, or I've actually convinced them to sit and watch the fights with me. I know my father-in-law is kind of into martial arts. He's always been like a Bruce Lee fan. So, I know he's down to watch the fights. Maybe my mother-in-law, not so much, but we'll see how that ends up going. But really excited for it. I know I'm going to be watching the fights live and somewhat on vacation, if that's what you guys want to call it. Luckily enough for me, I'm going to be there for about 6 or 7 days. And there's no event on August 14th, at least for the UFC. So I don't have to worry about it in terms of churning out content for you guys for the August 14th weekend, since there's no UFC event. There might be I believe there's a Bellator card. Not 100% sure if I'll do anything for that. I'd rather just enjoy my time off and enjoy, kicking it with the in-laws and stuff and chilling out on the farm over there. So yeah, I'm gone Friday night, come back Saturday, the 15th, get some tape study in for the August 21st card. And then I'm going to Vegas on August 19th for a couple of days, and then go to check out that August 21st fight night card that I can't wait for as well. So a ton to do over the next several weeks, but I'm still going to be grinding out the content for you guys, doing the live streams when I can, and dropping these breakdowns for y'all. So hopefully we can make some cash while we're doing all this shit. So, let's see what the chat is saying real quick, and then we'll get into the bulk of the podcast. Last thing I'll say, pre-recorded podcast didn't drop last week. I need to finish editing it after this stream. As soon as I'm done this live stream, I'm going to hop onto my video editing program, churn that out for you guys, and then the pre-recorded podcast will drop early morning in several hours. It will drop for you guys. But yeah, you guys love the live show because I interact with the comment section. Didn't get to interact with the comments too much last week since I was just doing the live show. So I'll be sure to take more of your questions this week, and it might be a little bit longer of a show. So shout out to Hot Hands. First comment saying, "Let's go." Appreciate you stopping by, my guy Uncle Wheezy, staying up late on his grind. Appreciate you stopping by, my guy Belt Better in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by as well, my guy Finesse God too. God damn, the usuals are out. So shout out to you guys. SD Crusader, holy crap, this is ladies' help. Yes, it is. But I'm ready to go. Let's fucking go. Brandon Ortega, stop. I feel like when I was younger, up late and got caught and got them cough late night shows on Stars or whatever it was. Don't kill me, Brandon. Don't kill me. I know exactly what you're talking about. Monk, MMA Addicts, talking swinging by. What up, Wizzy? Love the late night lock the night content. Appreciate you stopping by. About better, yo, the Canadian women's soccer team killed me. Not entirely sure what's been going on with the soccer side of things, but I'm assuming you're losing bets. Excuse me. Brian Ortega, by the way, there need to be like one like per person entrance fee. Exactly. We have 37 right now. I'm not sure how many likes we currently have. Ben Peek in the chat saying, "Hey, Daddy Lock. Hey, son. Appreciate you stopping by." About better saying, when you ask, I might join you. Shit. You ask LGM there. Not entirely sure what that means, but okay. Brian Ortega, I realized my inventory looks like Devon Larat's son. Not entirely sure who Devin Larat is. Might have to Google that later. Big Bird PH, ending the night with the goat. Appreciate you stopping by. Rogue Strummer in the chat. Looking forward to the card. Ceremony weigh-ins will take place hella late in the evening again. Yeah. They're back in Houston, so I think it's only an hour behind Eastern time. Yeah. Bob Better saying Bruce Lee still lives in the Philippines. Ziza Minos. I'm assuming that's a conspiracy. Big Bird PH, how you feel about Strickland versus Rockhold and Sean Rhodes? I'm not 100% sure if that's actually official, right? I heard Strickland saying that the UFC is trying to use some bullying tactics or something. So I won't really have a read on that as of yet. But yeah, I do lean Strickland there. Ben Peak, letting you guys know, PFL. I do the work for August 12th. Get on the Patreon, the Discord to say hi. Yeah, Ben Peak's my resident PFL guy. Might have to start paying him soon if he continues to turn out winners. But yeah, shout out to my guy Ben Peak. DFS Whispers in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by. Okay in the chat. Randall Weems saying 267 a non-pay-per-view event. Yeah, it's going to be the first time they're doing it in a long time. Can't wait for that. All right. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get into the breakdowns. That's what you guys are here for. But first and foremost, actually, let's go over my last event because you guys know how transparent I love to stay. No matter it's a winning night, losing night, break-even night, still got to share with you guys. A recap for UFC Vegas 33 lock of the night play hits 5 or 4.5 units on Cheyenne buys at minus 175. That hits for plus 2.57 units. I wish we got to see that fight play out a little bit longer. You know what I mean? When you take as much time as you do or as I do to look into certain fights, you want to kind of see it play out a little bit more rather than just getting a quick knockout. And that's what we got with Baze. But it seemed like, leading up to that knockout, Baze was doing exactly what I expected her to do. Stay in the face of DePaula, create chaos, don't allow her to settle, don't allow her to get a striking game going, and Baze should pull out the win. And luckily for her, she was able to get a pretty quick knockout. So we get to cast the lock of the night play without much of a sweat. The dog of the night play does end up shitting the bed with Gritzmacher's chin holding up very well, and then Garcia's cardio holding up later in the fight. The under 2.5 crashes at minus 1 unit. But all in all, we're up plus 1.57 units on the night. So profitable night. We bounced back from that Ian Heinisch abysmal showing the weekend before, even though we had both of our dogs hit the weekend before. Lock of the night play is what I'm known for, and that's where I got a hit for you guys. So that ends up crashing. But luckily, Lock of the Night plays hit this week, and we go plus 1.57 units. Hopefully, the beginning of another streak, because that's what you guys love, is when I'm on those streaks. So hopefully I can get another one going for you guys. I do have my Lock of the Night play already posted on the Patreon. It will be released to the public for free on Friday evening, probably when I land over there in Saskatchewan. I'll post it for you guys. But I do have it posted. Don't have my dog of the night yet. Still looking into that. May pull the trigger within the next 12 to 24 hours. So if you're on the Patreon and you're waiting for the dog that I play, it will drop shortly. I promise you guys. There are a couple of spots that I'm looking at, but I want to think about it a little bit more before I actually ended up pulling up the trigger. So yeah, there's the breakdown. MMA better, genuine. I will do the bet breakdowns too. Okay. What's going on, Big Zo? Appreciate you in the chat as well. And my guy Ben Peak saying, "Pay me, daddy." And you better tell me this time on PFL. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. Let's see. All right. First matchup of the night. Let me just get some water in and then we'll start breaking down these fights. By the way, I finally found my Fight Network mug that I got years and years ago. So I thought I'd pull that out for you guys. All right, first fight of the night. Johnny Munoz Jr. Minus 260 going up against Jamie Simmons plus 205. Now, Johnny Munoz Jr. was in the running for my lock of the night play. Still do feel comfortable with him as being my lock of the night play if I hadn't had bet the other thing that I bet. Um, if that other spot wasn't on this card, Johnny Munoz will probably be my spot. Even at minus 260, I think he's worth all the chalk in this spot. Simmons, wrestler, wants to get the fight to the ground, grind his opponents out, either find a ground and pound finish or submission or even just decision them. But I think he's going to struggle to do that here against Johnny Munoz, who is a very high level BJJ specialist, pretty much born on the mats. His father was a BJJ specialist as well. And he's pretty much crossed over to the UFC or to the MMA world pretty well. He was 10-0 coming into the UFC, took a somewhat of a short notice fight against Nate Maness, close fight. Ended up losing the last 2 rounds, in my opinion, and then lost a decision. So took his first ever L in his UFC debut, but I think they're giving him a nice bounce back spot here against Jamie Simmons, where he should be able to go out there and possibly find a submission. Simmons showed some decent wrestling and stuff on the regional scene, but against lackluster competition, not to mention fights that were dragged on a little bit longer. It seemed like he had a little bit of cardio issues, not to mention a little bit of issues in terms of controlling his opponent on the ground. And if he wants to take this fight to the ground against Johnny Munoz, I think he's going to just set himself up for failure. Now, if he decides to go out there and just wants to strike with Johnny Munoz, he does have some decent power in his hands, but he does that wrestling thing, which is, that wrestling striking style, which is just wait for your moment to explode, wide winging hooks, splits forward, either close the distance to land a big bomb or close the distance to go for a takedown. And I think that Munoz is going to be inviting the takedowns because I think that he's confident enough in his grappling that he should be able to reverse any of the grappling attempts from Jamie Simmons. Even if Simmons completes takedowns, I think we'll see Munoz, be very active off of his back, not allow Simmons to settle and either hit a submission or hit a reversal, ultimately leading to a submission or a ground and pound finish. Very easy fight to break down. Again, I think Simmons' best way to win this fight is by knockout early. Otherwise, I do think he's going to find himself on the ground here, and Munoz should be able to find a submission. So I think my official prediction was round 2 Munoz by submission. And yeah, I might be hitting the inside the distance props for Munoz. I'll probably be parlaying him on some degenerate parlays as well. But yeah, I like Munoz in the spot, and he should cruise in this fight against Jamie Simmons. All right, let's see. Biggs Omega saying people in the lock squad got to submit fanatics picks. I'm destroying everybody. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that. So many things to keep on top of already. I appreciate it, Biggs O. Boob saying, "Hey, Lock, any advice on how to avoid from betting your entire bankroll on a single live bet and then losing? Don't. Pretty simple. Just don't bet. I mean, like make your pre-fight plays and then settle on a certain amount that you actually want to um place on live betting. Like, say you have $500 that you don't mind losing and you can afford to lose it. Set aside $500 for live betting, work within those. And if you lose the $500, you lose the $500. Sorry, boob. But better, I've always appreciated your transparency. Yeah. It's the only way you can remain honest and somewhat in the good graces of people in this industry. Again, I don't care if I lose events, if obviously I care financially speaking, but I mean I don't care showcasing that I've lost events in the hopes of thinking that it's going to deter my Patreon count or deter the amount of people that are actually following me or tailing me. Don't give a fuck. I bet the way that I bet. I'm transparent about it. I show bet slips. That's all that matters to me. I do feel like there's a little bit of hatred towards me in a sense that I'm not the greatest better like results wise, down 16 units on the year, yet I'm still getting as much traction and love and hype from people. So yeah, I think that there's a little bit of negativity in the scene regarding me, but whatever, I'm gonna just keep doing what I'm doing anyway. Blaze, don't bet your whole bankroll on a single live bet would be a good start. Exactly. Hello, that guy saying parlay Munoz. Yes, I agree. Brian Ortega saying Munoz by murder. I agree. Mr. Bobo is under 2.5 worth of sprinkle on this one. I don't mind that either. What exactly is that line, though? Munoz and Simmons under 2.5 is minus 125. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. Big Bird Munoz is the better striker in my opinion. His grappling seems very high level. I agree. He does have the advantage on the feet, not by a large margin. Dean Mooney in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by as well, my guy. Nick Lee, have you talked about Bobby Green fight yet? No, that's coming up still. Evo Steph in the chat, just stopping by. You do you, brother. Don't get discouraged. You killed it. Exactly. I ain't I ain't I ain't tripping. Cole Shelton in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by. I believe that's bjpen.com's own Cole Shelton. Appreciate the support. I think you posting bet slips helps you a lot. I see a lot of handicappers just say they want X amount of bets but never show proof yet. I absolutely agree. I'm gonna leave it at that. I appreciate you, Cole. Why don't we see more bet slips? I don't care how many units people are betting, but show that you're betting. Fuck it, whatever. Boob, I will not be addressing those things on this podcast. Maybe catch me on one of my lucky late night streams and I'll answer that. Soren's818, are you talking in order of fights? Yes, I am. I just finished the first one. Nick Lee, I have to ask, am I crazy for betting Bobby Green and Angela Hill to win or just fair DJ and you to MMA betting? I am getting around to those fights and you guys will know what my thoughts are on that. MMA Kappa in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by and showing some love. All right, let's move on to the next fight. We got Melissa Gatto going up against Victoria Leonardo. Minus 110 on either side. Sorry, let me get some water in here. Yeah, minus 110 on either side. Now, with Gatto obviously making her UFC debut, I don't believe she's actually competed in professional MMA since 2018 or 2019, where she was able to get a Kimura victory over Carol Hossa, who's obviously doing very, very well in the UFC now. And I think that may have played into the fact that Melissa Gatto opened as a minus 140, minus 150 favorite. But then the public got privy to it. They watched the tape. They watched tape on both sides. They saw the line. They bet the line on Victoria, and now the line is out of pick 'em. And I think that Victoria will end up going off as the favorite in this fight once this fight actually ends up going down. Gatto seems like a BJJ specialist, but a decent BJJ specialist. Seems like she needs to land takedowns to have success. And even when she does, it's not really guaranteed that she's going to pull off a submission. I know she's undefeated. She has 2 draws on her record, which I don't really understand. It seems like her fight with Sydney Hocha probably should have been a loss, but ended up going to a draw. I think Gatto is one of those fighters that kind of accepts pulling guard and just kind of flopping to her back to kind of get her jiu-jitsu game going. But the purple belt and Leonardo, I think, is good enough, to kind of nullify this submission attempts that are going to be coming back from Gatto. I think Leonardo will be stronger. I think she'll get the better of the grappling exchanges as well in terms of if Gatto goes out there for a takedown or a clinch position. I think Leonardo is good enough to stay out of crazy trouble there. And then in the striking realm, I think that Leonardo almost has her beat. Like the only thing that I see from Gatto is like a leg kick. She has some decent hands, but okay, actually far like abysmal hands, I should say, Gatto. And Leonardo has a much more refined striking game, good kicks, good punches, decent power as well, and good cardio too. I do think that we'll see Gatto maybe land a takedown or two here, but I don't think he'll be super successful with it. I do think that Gatto does have cardio issues as well, and Leonardo should be able to capitalize on those. And I think that the longer that this fight goes, Leonardo will have more and more success. And I think that ultimately we'll actually see Leonardo get her out of there probably in the 3rd round. This is going to be one of those spots where I'm circling the 3rd round prop, as I do think that Gatto will just rely too heavily on that grappling game, and I think that we'll see Leonardo take advantage of it and possibly in the 3rd round get a ground and pound finish. So Leonardo by KO is plus 550. I thought it was going to be a little bit better than that, to be honest. But Leonardo in round 3 plus 1475. I'm going to have to take a little bit of a stab on that because I do think it'll hold some value, and I do think that there's finishing upside here for Victoria Leonardo. I am not sold on Gatto at all. Yes, she has a win over Carol Hossa, but I think that Hossa is much better at this point in time, and I think that Hossa probably finishes Gatto this time as well. So, yeah, I like Leonardo by finish. Rogue saying Munoz's best win is over a 4-2 guy from Mongolia. Again, I think it's his lack of opportunities. He's only 10-1, right? We can't put too much into that. But better saying I have a shoebox of slips, not cash, and my box is full. I love it. He's saying, I know MMA gambling and I suck right now. It takes a legit person to admit that. Appreciate you, Bout. Well, speaking of bet slips, I can't wait for when I go to Vegas. I'm gonna make all my bets in cash. Again, maybe not the best thing since I'm trying to get back over to Canada, so I'd have to claim some of that shit. But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to like having my cold hard cash, giving it to the betting window, and then hopefully going back afterwards to collect my cash. James Burnett saying, "Don't mind no haters. Your picks are your picks. People choose to parlay if they want. Keep working." Exactly. Exactly. Orlando Baldonovis, he's talking about that hit fight. James Burnett saying Leonardo KO 1, 2, 3. I don't know, but definitely yes, I agree with that. Zach A saying Leonardo via Kamehameha. That would be fucking sick. Mr. Bubbles, 3 of Leonardo losses to Maverick twice and Fiorot. I think one of those Maverick fights was in one of those weird tournaments, right? I'm not 100% sure if that's an official loss for her. Interesting. Gatto looks easy to control. Leonardo by decision. Again, I think she could get her out of there as well. Ben Peak, how confident you think this women's fight is by finish? I'd say 6 out of 10 in terms of confidence level. Maybe 6 or 7 out of 10. Vig saying lifetime UFC betting results. I believe overall since 2017 that I've been tracking, I'm just around break even. Like I've had some ups, I've had some downs. Definitely been better. In the this year, or at least second quarter, third quarter of this year compared to the first quarter of this year. But yeah, I think I have my bet MMA tips in the description below as well. If you guys want to go check that out, that's my full track record since 2017. But better saying sneaky lock of the night could be. Um, Tofik Chaudhry saying, "What's the 3-5 parlay?" You're gonna have to wait till later in this podcast for me to drop that. If you remind me at the end of the podcast, I'll tell you what it is. But better saying it pays to be late night locky. Things are going great. Can't lie. Headley one saying got to look shocked on Instagram. Yep, can only take that so far. Daniel Moreno saying if you're in Vegas, Circa has prop bets and live betting. Cool. I'm actually going to be at the fights, so I won't be live betting in person, but I'll probably hit up Circa to make my bets. I'm going to be staying at New York, so I'll probably just make my bets over there. But I'm going to go visit Nick Kalikas over there at Circa, so maybe I'll make my bets over there too. Who knows? Zach, which book do you use in Vegas? Westgate is my spot, but Circa with Kalikas should be good too. Yeah, I've only been to Vegas one time before, and that was for the McGregor Aldo card. And I made my bets at the MGM before we went into the fights. James Burnett, Leonardo had wars. Gatto won't last. I agree. MMA hedge funds. I'm with you on Leonardo lock and got her at plus 150 a couple days ago. Beautiful. Break even is probably better than 90% of people post videos. Elbow cough. Yeah. Again, over 4 years of being tracked just to break even. Again, in that amount of time, I'm trying to refine my approach and all that. So hoping going back to my old school lock the night style, which initially got me all that, notoriety, getting up to like plus 35, plus 40 units or something like that. And then trying to get cute with it got me back down into the negatives. Getting back to it though. So we'll see how that goes. ST Crusader saying New York has to be one of the worst sports books. Why is that? Is it because of odds and stuff? Again, I'm only saying that because I'm staying there. Maybe I will go to Circa and actually place the bets there. All right, let's move on to the next fight. We got Anderson dos Santos going up against Miles Johns. I'm not going to take too long on this fight. You guys have probably heard this breakdown plenty of times before. I am going to go with Dos Santos as the underdog. Not a huge confident play there. I think his ability to create chaos on the feet, kind of just throw recklessly. I think we'll get to Johns eventually. Maybe force a desperation takedown out of him, and then he should be able to lock up a submission after that. Maybe a club and sub situation is live as well. I'm not totally sold on Miles Johns. I know I believe he only has one loss on his record. He's like that wrestler, right? good wrestling, questionable cardio, good power in his hands, good hand speed. But I think he falters and he slows down the later fights go. I know he knocked out Kevin Natividad late in their fight, albeit illegally. Um, but I think that Dos Santos is going to push her a little bit more and make it a dirtier fight that Johns is not used to. So I'm going with the Dos Santos side. I wouldn't mind the under 2.5 in this spot either because Johns could absolutely spark him early in this fight. But I think he's going to have trouble grapple fucking Dos Santos in this spot, especially if he's like exerting as much energy as he normally does. So I'm not trusting Johns at minus 225. I'm taking Dos Santos at plus 180. Might sprinkle him officially, but we'll see about that. But I do like Dos Santos in this spot. Zach saying Anakin for NT. You already know. Why are so many handicappers in Canada? I don't know. Me, Cody, Z. Trying to think of who else. Like, we're the three main ones, right? Paul Shaughnessy. Which other guys are Canadian? Who am I missing? SD Crusader saying it's just tiny. Yeah, I'm not going to be hanging out at the sports book. Vegas MMA odds are posted on VSIN for free. Just Google VSIN MMA media odds and shop for best odds. Appreciate that heads up. Again, I might end up just going to Circa because I know Nick Kalikas. Say what up to him. Okay, saying I like this pick lock. I don't mind it. James Burnett saying, don't give your betting predictions. Give predictions for both fighters, how they will win. People like both, they will choose. Yeah, I guess normally I make a case for either guy a little bit, but then I normally give my prediction on who I do think will win. But I'll definitely keep that in mind, James. Appreciate that. Zach A saying, does Johns have to leg hump to win, or can he stay on the feet to take a decision? He could stay on the feet to take a decision, but I think that he's gonna find himself in chaotic situations at times, which could potentially force a desperation shot out of him, force him to gas. But I do think he could win this fight. Cameron D asking, is there a prop new up this week? There should be one again tomorrow, Thursday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern. Zach A saying Mississauga represent Ontario's home of the hardcore DJs. I actually grew up in Malton, which is in Mississauga. But yeah, shout out to Mississauga. Timothy Sackett, Bender, and Ron Raymond report are Canadians. Never heard of them. Are they MMA guys? Maybe I should know them. All right, let's move on to the next fight here. We got Manel Kape going up against O'Day Osbourne. Minus 200 on Kape, plus 160 on Osbourne. Now, this is one of those spots where you really got to take the recency bias out of it, right? I know that Kape hasn't really been the most impressive in his fights. He's kind of been lackadaisical at times, but I do think that he still has that fire that could potentially get him a win here over O'Day Osbourne. I think Kape in this back against the wall situation could definitely allow him to get a win in this spot. I think he still has crazy knockout power. He has good striking. He has the ability to, land shots. I think his hand speed is going to be a little bit too much for Osbourne here. I believe he's a brown belt or a black belt in jiu-jitsu, which should be able to keep him out of any trouble in terms of if Osbourne wants to take this fight to the ground and start to use the submissions. But I do think that, there are still green moments of Osbourne, and there are still moments that we still got to see from Osbourne in terms of him getting pushed later into fights. A lot of his fights are ending first, second round. You don't really see him get pushed. Now, he's been to a decision 2 times and he's gone 1-1 in those spots, but Manel Kape has got to be one of the best fighters, if not the best fighter that he's gone up against to this point. I think that we're going to see a fired up Kape in this spot. I think we're going to see him take advantage of the striking advantage that he should have here. I think he's going to be quicker to the punch. I think his power is going to be too much for Osbourne, and I think we'll actually see Kape get him out of there. The spot that I'm really liking for this and is going to potentially be a dog of the night play for me is the under 2.5, which currently sits around that plus 120 mark. I think there's finishing upside from both guys here, submissions, knockouts, but I do think it's actually going to be Kape who ends up getting the knockout here, probably in the first or second round. Osbourne could win this fight. He's long, lanky. He seems to have all the physical traits of a successful UFC fighter, but it's on him to go out there and actually implement it. And this is going to be his toughest test, right? You're talking about a big step up from fucking Jerome Rivera to Manel Cap. Now, Brian Keller probably falls in the middle of somewhere there, and that was obviously a bad loss for Osbourne. Well, it's a whatever loss. Kelleher is forever going to be in that, top 15 to 20 range gatekeeper status, and he's obviously always going to be a tough out for guys. And decent loss for Osbourne, especially in his UFC debut, I believe, coming in on short notice. But I think he's going to struggle here with Kape. I think that Kape will find that chin, and I think he'll be able to blast into orbit and find that victory that has kind of been eluding him throughout his UFC career at this point. So, I'd be surprised if we see any dilly-dallying or wasted motions or wasted actions from Kape in this fight, because he knows if he gets an L here, more than likely getting his walking papers. But I think this should be a good fight, should be a fun fight, maybe a dark horse for fight of the night. But I think that we'll see Kape go out there and actually get a knockout here and secure a spot on the roster once again. So I'm going Manel Kape. I'm Manel Kape by decision, or sorry, by knockout, probably second round. Let's see what the chat be saying. Brandon Ortega likes O'Day here. I was definitely leaning O'Day pre-tape, but once you actually run the tape, the line seemed a little bit wide, but now it seems a little bit more appropriate. Minus 200, I think, is a good spot for Kape. Mr. Bubba is saying under 2.5 in this one. Yeah, I'm right there with you. James Burnett with the $5 donation. Appreciate you dropping that money, my brother. Good job. Do your thing, bro. Enjoy the show. I appreciate you as well. SC Crusaders saying Kape Roy here under 200 is generous. I agree. Mr. Bubble is 9 out of 12 of O'Day's fights ended in round 1. Yep. Danny Moore, okay, so I know I'm probably alone, but I like O'Day Osbourne. There's a lot of people that I know that I like Osbourne here. Excuse me. But I think that's more so based on the odds than him actually winning. And I think that we're going to see Kape actually win this fight. Mr. Bubble is Kape 14 out of 15 wins inside the distance. Yep. He's saying, I don't understand why the under 2.5 is at plus 120. I think it's the recency bias, right? His last 2 fights, he went to a decision. Maybe not on the Osbourne side, but on the Kape side, he's gone to a decision. So, yeah, I do like that as a potential dog of the night spot. Orlando likes Kape by TKO. I agree that as well. About better saying Kape sucks. I'm assuming he burned you in his first 2 UFC fights. Timothy Sackett saying also many on Wager Talk are Canadians. Again, I don't really follow Wager Talk either. El Capitan is saying, isn't O'Day going down in weight as well in this fight? Excuse me. He fought, if I'm not actually no, the Jerome Rivera fight was at 135 because let me see if I can just pull it up. I believe he took that fight on short notice. Sorry, that was at 145. I believe Osbourne is a 125er. He fought Kelleher at 135. I believe that was short notice. Yeah, he's been fighting at 135 and 145 for the majority of his career. So yeah, this is actually his first time down to 125 pounds as well. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Good point there. I don't know why I thought he was always a 125er, but just took the last 2 fights on short notice and then up a weight class. But yeah, first time down to 125. Interesting to see how he looks on the scale. Girls are nuts. 313 saying Kape to win. This will end up a 250 price. Get it now. I agree. Mr. Bubba saying, yeah, 3 fights for O'Day and 3 different weight classes as well. Again, the Rivera one was weird because Rivera fought a couple weeks earlier against Figgy's brother. Daniel Moreno is saying playing the under and over on a lot of fights this week. Hopefully they bring except the women. I'm betting the over. Leon Nestastog stopping by. I appreciate the love and support. Um, James Burnett saying Cop has to go hard, no choice. Had great fights in his first two, even though he lost, but Cop 100%. I agree. Stefan Peck is saying hearing all this love for O'Day, but I think Cop shows why he was a touted fighter coming into the UFC. I absolutely agree. I think we'll see him let it go now. Michael Arunda saying Cop is a notorious bullshitter, will fight IQ into a loss. Again, I think he'll pull it together here. Zach A saying Jerome Rivera's 2021's can of the year. Oh, that hurts to say. I know he's a good dude. The Vig saying Cap is good, line is fair, total. Yeah, I'm liking the under 2.5 here. All right. I think that should be a decent amount of questions. Shout out to my guy Cole Shelton here. When I talked to O'Day before this fight, he said he didn't bother cutting weight on the regional scene. He said when he fought Kelleher, he arrived on fight week at 137, 138. Yeah. So maybe he's just been always planning to go to 125, especially when he gets to the UFC. Now's the time, and it's a very stiff test ahead of him. I just don't think he passes it. Daniel Morales saying Rivera's trying his best. Yeah. Uh, that was hilarious. All right, let's move on to the next fight. We got Jessica Penne plus 100 going up against Karolina Kowalkiewicz minus 120. Kowalkiewicz coming back after a year and a half long layoff after she got absolutely busted up by Yan Xiaonan and then released that very, very heartbreaking and heart wrenching post where you see her all beat up. And actually, it was a video. She released a video of herself all beat up and saying, usually I feel okay after a fight, even after I lose. But this one, I don't feel so good. It hurts. And that one almost brought a tear to my eye. I'm going to be honest. It was so tough to see her in that type of position. But yeah, she ended up taking an extended leave. You know, she was contemplating retirement, and then she finally got the itch to come back. And you know, they gave her a pretty favorable matchup. If she goes out there and loses this one, it's definitely time to hang it up, or at least go back to KSW to get some more favorable matchups. But I think this is a solid matchup for her to go out there and get a solid win. So the way she wins this fight, pretty simple. You know, keep it on the feet, get her striking going. Once she is successful, she lands between 100 and 120 strikes. I think she could absolutely do that here against Jessica Penne, who needs to grapple to find success in this fight. Just in the Lupita Godinez fight, you know, I know a lot of people that lost some money parlaying Godinez that night, but she didn't show that great of fight IQ, right? She needed to maintain the distance, needed to maintain her footwork and her movements to stay away from the clinch and grappling positions that Penne was obviously always going to be engaging in. But Godinez just always found herself in those spots. You know, it was weird. She landed some good strikes on the feet and then would just engage in the clinch. Just didn't make any sense to me. Say what you want about the decision. You know, a minus 260 shouldn't be fighting like that or even having that close of a fight. So Penne ended up winning that fight. And did she deserve it? Maybe, maybe not. But I wouldn't be surprised to see her go out there and try to implement a similar game plan here against Karolina. However, I do think that Karolina will have more success with her movement, with her striking, with her ability to keep Penne on the other end of her jab. And I do even think that Karolina, we might even be able to see some new fire from her, some new motivation to go out there and just right the wrong of her 4-fight losing streak that she's on. You know, she's losing to high level fighters at this weight class. She can't really bang on her too much for being 0-4 in her last 4 fights. But I do think that we see this fire from her that we probably haven't seen before to come back and right those wrongs. I saw the KO prop at plus 900, and I'm thinking of taking a little bit of a stab on it because I think the striking difference here is going to be very wide, and I think it's going to be obvious right off the bat. I don't know if we'll see Penne be able to take that much damage over 15 fights, especially if she's not successful in terms of wrapping up Karolina and dragging this into a clinch fest, grapple fest. I'd be surprised if Karolina gets wrapped up in something like that. So I do like Karolina here. I think she gets a victory after her extended layoff. Decision is probably the most likely outcome, but I got to take a little bit of a shot on that KO prop at plus 900. I do think that there's some value there as, again, striking difference here should be massive. And I think that we'll see prime Karolina go out there and get her work done. So yeah, I like Karolina in this spot. As long as she doesn't get tied up by Penne, she should have a ton of success just jabbing and working the face of Jessica Penne and eventually, you know, either getting a decision or even a TKO. I wouldn't be surprised. But yes, I do like Kowalkiewicz, but for official pick, I'll take her to win by decision. Daniel Sapozinikov nailed it. Jessica Penne didn't even win her last fight. I'm fading her out of pure anger. Again, we don't bet with emotions, my man. You got to be careful when you're spending your money on certain things. Penne sucks, but KK is just so fadeable. I just don't know if this is the fight that, like, do you fade Kowalkiewicz with Jessica Penne? Probably not. James Burnett saying Kowalkiewicz would ground and pound. I'd be surprised if she even engages in the clinch at all. Daniel Moreno saying, I don't like Penne because I had a bet on Lupita, but she's going to win. Again, I'm not hard on Kowalkiewicz here. It's not like she's my lock of the night player or anything, but I do think that she is rightfully favored in this spot and might deserve to be favored even more. Leo Nestastog saying Penne is just very washed. I agree. Balbetter seems to be simping over Carolina right now. Carolina via decision currently sits at plus 120. Leo Nestaseg saying parlay the over and the fight goes to decision, call it a day. I don't think it's that simple for this fight. It could be, but I do like KK here. Vig saying Carolina undervalued because she got steamrolled by top of the top. Yeah, that's another thing we have to remember, man. She's losing to the legit top of this division. BP saying ran the tape twice on this. I strongly believe that Penne should have lost her bout against Rana Marcos. Should be 0-5. Damn. My man really dug into the depths of the tape for that. El Capitan saying she's been training with Joanna. Headley one, reminding you guys to be very careful about the Texas judges because they might screw you out of a decision here. Appreciate my guy Payne Fight Picks dropping by. Breaking Bad has been going great. Zach A. Penny sent all my parlays that night to the Sharon with that quick decision. Oh, that sucks. Daniel Sapozinikov. Daniel Sapozinikov. Nailed the last name. I tried. Okay, saying lock, I might sprinkle a Penny decision, bro. Again, I don't hate it. All right. Lock will never nail my last name. Nestastog. Please tell me that's how I say it. All right, let's move on to the next fight, and you can let me know if that's how you say it. We got Alonzo Menifield, minus 250, going up against Ed Herman, minus 250 on Menifield, plus 210 on Herman. Veteran against somewhat of an up-and-comer in Menifield. Menifield seems to be slowly getting into that veteran state, racking up as many UFC fights as he has at this point, but he still has that same game plan. Go out there, land that knockout. If he gets into the second, third rounds, things get a little bit fishy. Let's be honest. Here against Herman, though, he could have success the later that this fight goes. Let's not rule that out. Herman, I don't think is the best version of himself now, obviously at 40 years old. And, this is going to be his 40th total fight. But if you were to tell me that Ed Herman is on a 3-fight winning streak in 2021, I would absolutely kick you in the nuts and say you're fucking crazy. But here he is, call that, fishy victory over Mike Rodriguez, fishy if you want, but on the record, it says win. And he pulled off his veterancy that night, claiming that beautiful body kick as a nut shot and, getting his wits back about him and then eventually finishing Mike Rodriguez. Good for Ed Herman. But I think he has a powerhouse to deal with here with Alonzo Menifield. I am not playing Alonzo Menifield at minus 250. I am taking that KO prop if I am betting this fight at all and calling it a day. However, another way that you could be approaching this is from the live betting side. If Ed Herman does survive that first round, I wouldn't mind taking a little bit of a sprinkle on Herman if he's better than plus 400 and just seeing if he's able to kind of take advantage of the skeptical gas tank that Alonzo Menifield has. I think the longer this fight goes, the more successful Herman or the more success Herman will be able to find. But I do think ultimately that we'll see Menifield land that punch early in this fight and get Herman out of there. Last time Herman's been finished, I believe, was 4 or 5 years ago against Nikita Krylov, where he succumbed to a head kick knockout, and then 2 fights before that, he got knocked out by Derek Brunson 35 seconds into their fight. So he can still be knocked out. I don't think he's faced a crazy knockout puncher since, Nikita Krylov. Mike Rodriguez, kind of a knockout puncher, and arguably you could say that he got Ed Herman out of there. But Menifield is another beast as well. We know he has tremendous knockout power, and I think he'll showcase once again this weekend when he takes on Ed Herman. So I'm taking Alonzo Menifield first round knockout, but I'm not touching him at minus 250. I'm good without that. Let's see. Let's see what the chat says. MMA Triple J saying congrats on securing the UFC tickets. Yeah, I got the tickets for August 21st and then UFC 266. Can't wait. Leon is saying it's as close as Americans can get. I'm Canadian. Have some respect. I would love to know how to say it. Tell me if you can phonetically spell it out for me. That'd be great. Yeah, you got it right. Or Canadians. Mr. Bob was saying, can't believe Menifield minus 250. Again, it's hard for me to trust a guy that usually only has that limited win condition of getting a first round knockout. Leon, right on the money. Everyone knows what the move is here. Bet Menifield round 1, round 1, 2, and live bet Herman after the first. I agree. Javier is asking for parlay recommendations. Ask me again at the end of the show, and I'd be happy to drop some parlays for you guys. Sefadine Nurmatov. Luck is a true one going live in the middle of the night. Let's have a good weekend. Yes, sir. Rogue Sherman, Canadian Eagles, North Americans. Yes. BP saying someone on Twitter came up with a good point for this bout, and that's the pace of this bout is up to Alonzo. Clark set a very fast pace, and OSP was the one walking down Alonzo. Ed doesn't do that. Yeah, good point. I cannot. You got to have the accent. We Scandinavians got it. Where exactly in Scandinavia are you from? Norway? Denmark? I could be absolutely off on those Norwegian countries as well. Or sorry, those Scandinavian countries. Pain fight predictions. I got Alonzo here, but I could see Herman getting a late submission after surviving a difficult first round. I agree. James Burnett didn't know you was Canadian. Me to Montreal. Stand up. Toronto. Stand up. Cameron D. Cameron D saying going to the Apex is going to be hella fun. I'm jealous. Yeah, I can't fucking wait for that. Z's MMA in the chat. Need more pyramids. Can't do pyramids unless I have you. Try Nestastug. Nestastug. Not bad. The Vig, why would live odds be anything closer to plus 400 after first round? No, the line makers know all we're saying. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. I'm just being being hypothetical about it. Again, maybe he rocks him, hurts him, drops him, whatever the fuck in round 1, and we get better than plus 400. Who knows? Javier's saying, what are you using treatment for your beard? Looks great. Just wash it. Got a beard oil I use. That's really about it. Leon is staying in Norway. Nice. All right. Let's move on to the next fight. We got Draco Rodriguez -115 going up against Vince Morales -105. No real big thoughts on this fight. Um, Rodriguez seems to do his best work when he is able to get his jiu-jitsu going, has some decent striking of his own. Obviously got knocked out very bad last time against Ayman Zahabi. Vince Morales, on the other hand, is on a 2-fight losing streak. One of those fights I thought he probably deserved to win against Benito Lopez. That seemed to be a fight where it was like punches versus kicks coming from Lopez, punches coming from Morales. And I thought Morales did the better work and the better damage with the striking. Um, Unfortunately, the judges didn't see it that way, and he ended up losing that fight. And then his next fight, he goes out there and gets his legs chopped to shit by Chris Gutierrez. A very difficult fight for him to go out there and try to game plan for. And then especially when he doesn't have his legs and his wheels, it's very hard for him to get his own game going. I'd be surprised to see Draco Rodriguez go out there and take that same type of game plan. That's just not his game. I do think that Morales has the better footwork, hand speed, and boxing in this fight, and I think that could potentially lead to a decision for him. I think Draco's best chance to win this fight is to drag it to the ground and get his jiu-jitsu going, but I think he's going to struggle in terms of getting Morales down, and then if not getting him down, at least holding him down. I think he'll struggle with that. I think Morales will show, like I said, solid footwork, solid boxing, solid striking, hopefully stuff a couple takedowns, and then really start to put the beating on Rodriguez on the feet here. So I like Morales by decision. Again, no real big read in this spot, but I do think that we'll see Morales bounce back from that 0-2 UFC skid that he's on and get that win once again after this, I'd say, year-long layoff. But yeah, I got Morales here. Morales decision. No big money on it. Leon is saying you got to pronounce A, which is hard for you guys. You are the closest Kape yet, though. Interesting. Leon Nesta Stug. I'm always going to try. I love trying to pronounce people's names correctly. So, yeah. El Capitan Morales Achilles injuries last August. That's what it was. Yeah, he really got his leg worked by Gutierrez that time. All right. Let's move on to the next fight. Let's not waste too much time on this one. Very interesting one here. We got Rafael Fiziev going up against Bobby Green -320 on Fiziev, who opened up as a -150 favorite, and the public love has just been raining down on Fiziev, which is blasting him up to -320, and the return on the veteran Bobby Green is now +245. So I agree more so with the opening line here. -150, in my opinion, was right. Now the line is just completely off. Fiziev, great fighter, solid potential. Obviously, great last 2 wins, especially against Mark Diakese, beating him pretty much everywhere, mixing in a couple takedowns if he needed it, and then obviously just beating him up with the Muay Thai and the kicks that he has. Then his next fight, going out there and implementing that Muay Thai game once again. Apologies, let me get some water. Yeah, so Fiziev in his next fight, or his last fight, I should say, against Renato Moicano, took a little bit of time to kind of find his distance, but once he did, he really started to let his hands go, and then that's when we ended up getting that beautiful knockout 3-punch combination to ground Moicano. Should that fight have been stopped? In certain realms, you probably don't need to stop it, but optically speaking, it's not a good look for the referee to see a guy drop and then his head almost pretty much bounce off the canvas. Um, not a good look. So I completely understand why the referee stopped it that night. But I would have loved to see that fight actually continue. I think we would have saw Moicano get his wits back about him and possibly prolong the fight. But Fiziev was doing obviously real good work there. Bobby Green, it's very weird to see him as a +245 underdog, considering that he's usually the big favorite, right? Like he goes out there, he's like a -280 favorite against Thiago Moises last time around, -2 something favorite against Clay Guida. He's always the big favorite, but now here he is as the big underdog. And again, I think it's more so the hype tax. Remember when I was talking about hype tax the other week? I think there's some hype tax here on Rafael Fiziev. Like we have this perception of him that he's this absolute unbeatable monster. Like his only loss was that spinning wheel kick knockout by Magomed Mustafayev. And yeah, he has a loss on his record, but we can chalk that up to, you know, crazy shit happening in MMA. So he could potentially be unbeaten at this point in time if we want to throw out that Mustafa knockout, but we just can't do that. Green can absolutely win this fight, and I am not going to bat an eye at anybody taking a shot on Green at these odds because you know pre-fight, Bobby Green is probably the side with these odds. He could absolutely march down Fiziev and stay in his face and get his hands going and really just make it a tough time for Fiziev to get his own game going. You want to put kickers on their back foot. They're not as effective off their back foot. And Bobby Green is pretty good at in terms of kind of stalking and walking down opponents. But is he going to be able to do that against Fiziev? I'm not 100% sold on that. I think Fiziev can still show some good work here. He's probably one of the best strikers, technical strikers that Bobby Green has faced over his last several fights. And I think that we'll see Fiziev go out there and just put on a little bit of a striking clinic here against Green. Will it look like he's a minus 320? No. I think we'll see Green have success in this fight. But I think we'll see Fiziev really dig into the depths of his MMA game, land a couple of takedowns when needed, and start controlling this fight and not just rely on his Muay Thai. Again, he is becoming smarter with timing takedowns. His fight IQ is getting better. He's no longer at Tiger Muay Thai. I think Tiger Muay Thai is just completely falling apart now. And now Fiziev actually training, it seems, full time out of Sanford down there in Florida, which is a great look for him, especially to round out his full MMA game. I do think that he'll land some takedowns and then obviously land some pretty damaging blows on the feet. But Bobby Green will make this a very close fight. He's very hard to put away. He's only been finished 4 times in his MMA career. I believe the last time he got finished was by a knockout from Dustin Poirier, which I believe was closer to 5 to 6 years ago. But yeah, Fiziev, I don't know if he'll be able to finish Green here. I do think that, like I said, I think he's the better overall striker, but that pace and that pressure and that Bobby Green fighting style is going to be tough for Fiziev to overcome. I truly think that this is the toughest fight for Fiziev to date, right? Some people might think that's a spit in the face of Renato Moicano, but we know Moicano has some durability issues. Green doesn't. Green's going to keep coming forward. Green's going to make it a tough fight, and he's going to give you your full bang for your buck for that plus 245. But I just don't think he's going to come out on the winning end. I'm going to take Fiziev here. I won't be parlaying him much this week. Maybe I'll throw him on a ticket or two, but I do think he wins this fight. I think he wins it via decision. As I said, Bobby Green very hard to put away, and I think that Fiziev is slowly going to start to, blast into that top 10, top 5. I do think the guy is very, very skilled, and he just needs a little bit more polishing, and he should be ready for, he might be ready for a title shot in the next 2 years or so. But I do like Fiziev and the progression that we've seen from him, and I do think that we'll see a complete MMA game from him this weekend, and he should go out there and win a decision against Bobby Green. Can't wait to hear the thoughts from everybody on this fight. Let's see what the questions and comments are for this one. Mr. Bubbles is saying, yeah, like this like ridiculous. I'm on the over 2.5, so I definitely like the chances on Green. Yeah, I do think that we see this fight go the full 15 minutes. James Burnett, Fiziev, if it doesn't go decision, but there might be a late round finish by one of them. I do think it goes the full 15. Kowalkiewicz saying, I've learned my lesson with Kyler Phillips and Rafa Garcia. Fiziev moneyline parlay piece is just not an option for me. Dog or over 2.5. Yeah, I am going to have Fiziev on a couple parlays. Don't get me wrong, but I won't have as crazy as exposure as most people would. SC Crusader, I look at it this way. You hate betting on Green as a favorite because of the way he fights. You'll love betting him as an underdog. That's a good mentality to have, man. Nick Lee has Green at plus 220. I don't hate it. HSB saying you can hedge that easily. Green, unanimous decision plays well. Yeah, I like that as well. Jake C saying this is one of the better fights on the card. I agree. Absolutely agree. I believe this is the prelim headliner. Let's see Vegas in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by, buddy. Leon is saying Green by decision plus 450. Not bad hedge. That is not a bad hedge. John West in the chat. Appreciate you stopping by. I believe that is a fellow Patreon member. Baby Yoda bets. Fuck love the late night action. As do I. John West personally on Fiziev KO. Like the prop. Light more than Fiziev straight piece. I'd be surprised if he puts Bobby Green up, man. Cowabunga is saying Bobby Sprinkles. I love it. Leon is saying Fiziev 29-28 decision, but should be close. I agree. Z's MMA saying was starting to think Green was live, but then watch tape again, and Fizz should be able to have his way with kicks. Green grease is always a possibility. Absolutely. Z, I am curious to hear whether you think that Fiziev will finish him or not. So if you're still in the chat, please do let me know. Okay, saying, boys, I heard Green was in shape before he got the call for this fight. If you guys remember, he was scheduled to fight Jim Miller a couple months ago and fainted at the weigh-ins. Like not on stage or anything, but he fainted in the background, and they called his fight off. But better Tiger Muay Thai, a gym or an organization? It is a gym. Daniel Moreno, Fiziev has 100% takedown defense and he's short, so it's going to be hard for Green to change levels. Yeah. Headley one is saying fight goes to the decision is good luck on this fight. Green has only been knocked down 3 times in the UFC, twice by Poirier. Yeah, I like that as well. BP saying this is just like Simmons versus Gamrot. Everyone's screaming the line is inflated. Went to bet Green. Green doesn't check leg kicks, responds bad to pressure, slows down and belts, has an ego of a kid. Yeah, I'm interested to see if Green is going to be the one that's going to be marching down Fiziev here, because that would be best for him, right? Just stay in his face. Don't let him get his kicks off. When he does, make him pay for it. But that's just not Bobby's game. Oh, look, we got somebody trying to make their name off your boy. MMA Kappa, I love Fiziev via decision due to Bobby's clean evasiveness and head movement. I agree. I was tempted by Fizz in the distance plus 200, but I haven't bet it. Probably won't. Yeah. Bobby's tough to put away. Daniel Saposnikov. Ziz will bet it during the day of the fight. Maybe. Leon, no one Fiziev has fought are good wrestlers. No Sapos has on the takedown defense. I agree. James Burnett, you know what happens to the new height fighters? Their first 5 fight. Yeah. At a certain point, it's going to happen. All right, let's move on to the next fight. First fight of the main card. We got Casey Kenney going up against Song Yadong. Minus 115 on Kenney, minus 105 on Yadong. Very excited for this fight. And I really like Kenney in this spot, honestly. I think that this is a great fight for him to go out there and showcase his full MMA skills. You know, I think he's obviously going to have the grappling advantage in this fight. I think he's going to have the cardio advantage as well. And I think his developing striking game will definitely help him remain serviceable and competitive here against Song Yadong, who is more so a guy that likes to go out there and try to take your head off. Great knockout power from Song Yadong, obviously. He's done great work in the past in terms of knocking guys out and landing, heavy on their chins. But Kyler Phillips played that fight perfectly, really playing the matador in the last fight with Yadong, really just sticking and moving, not really letting Yadong get any crazy big strikes off. He did manage to take advantage a little bit of Kyler later in the fight, as he seemed to have a little bit more in the gas tank. But I do think that Yadong will struggle here with Kenney, who, has his grappling to lean on. And I think it is definitely much better than what Yadong brings to the table here. I know Yadong's been at Team Alpha Male forever now, and he probably should have some good grappling. But Kenney, in my opinion, is probably one of the best, maybe top 3 scramblers inside the UFC. The guy just can scramble with the best of them, and usually is, a step ahead of his opponents. I do think that we'll see Kenney mix up his striking with some takedowns, and then the later that this fight goes, I think that we'll see him kind of put the foot on the gas and really start to run away with it, especially by grapple fucking Yadong. Personally, I think that Kenney should be a little bit of a bigger favorite in this spot. Again, I think I think we've seen the best of Yadong, and I know he's getting, he's still young and he could be getting better, but he seems like I'm not totally down to just completely write this kid off yet, but he seems like one of those guys that kind of left it all in the cage before he truly got to develop into a solid fighter. Um, and he's not going to beat guys like this. I just don't see the progression in his skills that leads me to believe that he should be able to beat a guy like Kenney. He's going to have to march him down and just land big shots. But Kenney does a really good job with his footwork, in my opinion, and he does a good job with changing levels and securing takedowns when he needs it. And I think that once Yadong really starts to commit to these power punches and try to land on the chin of Kenney, he's going to get hit with a double leg and end up on his back. He has some good get ups, don't get me wrong, but I do think that Kenney has some good top pressure and ability to kind of keep his opponents down. I think his black belt will really come in handy in this spot. And I think that we'll see Kenney grind this fight out. I think we'll see this go the full 15 minutes. I like Kenney in this spot. And I'm probably going to take a shot on him here. I like the odds. Again, I'm not going to read too much into the Dominic Cruz loss. A lot of people might be giving him some shit because he's losing to a 2021 version of Dominic Cruz, but Cruz is always going to be a tough fight for guys. And I still think that his footwork could cause some guys some issues. And that's exactly what it did for a guy like Casey Kenney. But Song Yadong is far from Dominic Cruz. I'd be surprised to see Dominic Cruz type footwork from Yadong here. But yeah, I like Casey Kenney in the spot. I'm going to take him to win this fight by decision. Let's see. HSB has Kenney. Leon is saying Kenney is a lock. This is a spot I definitely feel much better about on this card than Kenney. But yes, I do like Kenney. Nick Lee took Yadong and the over. I think the over hits. HSB is Kenney outright. Love that. ZA, I'll be talking about the main event shortly. Dallas saying, how's he down 16 units? Just look at my track record in my excuse me, in my description. Bet MMA tips. That's where you see all my official plays. Zach A. One does not simply finish Robert Green. MMA Kappa saying Kenny's price tag is extremely sexy. Then I remember this in H-Town, well known for horrendous judging, and I definitely see this going to the decision. Song always makes fights close as well. Yeah, it's definitely something to keep in mind. Leon is saying Kenney wins a close decision due to the judges being big fans. Split versus Cruz, clear 29-28 Cruz. No doubt. I agree. Uncle Weezy letting y'all know that Song has been fighting professionally since the age of 19 or 15, which is crazy. Let's see Vegas. Yadong is super overrated. Should really be on a 3-fight losing streak. He lost to Vera, Stamen, and Phillips, of course. Lots of value on Kenney. This is the finished version of Yadong upside on Casey. I agree. It just be reminding me that it's a Yadong song and not Song Yadong, and it's always going to fuck me up. So I apologize. Appreciate the help, HSP. Leon has 4 units on Kenney by decision. I like it. Yeah, Yadong does have a crazy chin for sure. John West saying, I'm also on Kenney, but where we see a similar fight to the Cody Stamen fight. Do you think Kenney or Cody have better takedowns? I think Cody is the better credentialed wrestler, but I think Kenney is a better MMA grappler. And I think that's where the difference might be. Mark Ranagan is saying, what's up, Lock? Favorite play of the night, Kenney. I love the value at minus 115. I can't hate you there, man. I do like it. The Vig saying Kenney is minus 105 on some books. Got to shop around. That's why it's always good to have access to more bookies rather than just one. MMA hedge funds here saying solo lock. Yadong is hard for Kenney. Yes, it is. Brian Stigman is saying name all the guys who took him down and controlled him. There's been guys that have taken him down, but I don't think that there's anybody to the level of Kenney that's been able to have success or that will have as much success as Kenney will have here. SC Crusader, exactly right. He's young, but has a lot of fight miles already. I agree. DFS Whisperer saying Song's gas tank makes it hard for me to bet on him. I agree. Daniel Moreno is saying Kenney is a good play, but I don't like these decision fights with the MMA judges. I agree. Ryan Parrish has 1,600 on Lewis. Brian Stigman is saying Kenny's stand-up reminds me of PR Young, but then again, look at Yadong, looks way bigger, stronger, and crisp stand-up. This is going to be a banger. Yeah, it should be a fun fight. All right, let's move on to the next fight. We got Angela Hill going up against Tisha Torres, minus 140 on Torres, plus 115 on Angela Hill. Flip a coin or just take the underdog and hope that the judges side with you. That's probably going to be the way to go for this fight. We saw Torres and Hill initially lock up back in 2015, where Torres was able to squeak out a decision victory over Angela Hill with a lot of grappling, right? More often than not, we're now seeing Torres kind of just go out there and outstrike opponents and have her success that way. But earlier in her career, she really used her grappling and her wrestling, especially in that Angela Hill fight when she knew she was going to be outstruck on the feet. So good win and good fight IQ from from Tisha Torres back then. But now we got 5 years, 6 years in between those fights, and we've definitely seen a progression from both women. But I do think that we'll still see. Actually, you know what? Sorry, no. I think this time we'll see a more polished version of Angela Hill, and we should see her go out there and actually, do her Angela Hill thing en route to a decision. I think she'll stuff takedowns here. I think she'll be able to get back to her feet. I think Torres, albeit she is getting better and she's definitely better than what we saw back in 2015. But I do think that she'll struggle with the movement and the striking of Hill in this spot. And I think she'll ultimately be wearing the damage here. And I think that we'll see Hill get back to her feet relatively easily and then start getting her striking going once again en route to a decision victory. But again, am I trusting a fight like this, which I know is going to play out super close, to go to a decision and trust these Texas MMA judges? Probably not. Like I'm not even going to touch this fight at all. No lottery parlays, no DGM parlays. Maybe the over 2.5, but even that, like I hate using that as a parlay piece because it could absolutely blow up in your face. But I don't see much finishing upside from either woman here. Maybe the Hill side with the TKO. I don't think we'll see a submission on either side, but I do like Hill in this spot. One, because she's the underdog, and two, I think that she's actually polished her game a lot better than what we've been seeing from Tisha Torres as of late. So yeah, I like Angela Hill here. But again, pass, guys. Just fucking pass on this shit show. James Burnett, right on the money, saying stay away. Bupper saying Hill by finish. Interesting. Leon is saying Hill has improved in her decision prop at plus 225. That's all I need to know with these judges. I like it. I am definitely going up to the main event. So we are a couple fights away from the main event, brother. Daniel Moreno, it says I think Torres is too physically, or is too physical, even though she's smaller. I agree. She's jacked. She's always jacked. But I think it's going to be a little bit harder for her to get her game going here. John West held beat up Yoda really bad. Is she left for a finish? I don't see it. Torres is very durable, very tough to put away. Ate some big shots from past opponents, Jessica Andrade included. Yeah, I think Yoder and Torres are worlds apart. Let's see Vegas saying taking Hill should be on a 6-5 win streak, in my opinion. She fights close, so that plus money is nice. She has been fighting the better competition as well and holding her own. I agree. I'd rather just take Hill decision. Like, if you really want to get the most out of your money, I'd be surprised if she gets it finished. I know my guy Bellbetter over here is saying that Hill by KO or Hill inside the distance, which is currently sitting at plus 485, but Hill by decision at plus 180, plus 200 kind of catches my eye a little bit more. SD Crusader Hill outside plus money is pretty tempting. She has leveled up a lot. I agree. Let's see Vegas saying about to purchase a ticket to 266. Maybe I'll see you there. I got myself a ticket a couple days ago as well. I can't wait. Oh, let's see, Vegas saying 265. So yeah, that's this weekend. Okay. Let's see, Vegas. I'm going to 266 as well. Yeah, I'll be there as well. Not sure what Michael Bradshaw is talking about there, but okay. Have you ever seen what section? I don't recall the section. Um, it's lower bowl though. Lower bowl, mid lower bowl area. All right, let's move on to the next fight. We got Michael Chiesa minus 110 going up against Vicente Luque minus 110 as well. Um, Yeah, this is another spot where we've seen public money come in and push this to an even fight. Michael Chiesa was roughly around plus 125, plus 130 when the line dropped, and we're seeing steady money come in on him to make him at pick 'em odds. And again, another spot that I wouldn't be surprised to see him go off as the favorite once the fight goes down. Now, Vicente Luque has kind of been has been lucky enough that the fights or the fights that he's been fighting, or sorry, the opponents that he's been fighting over the last several years have pretty much just looked to strike with him, right? There's been a couple guys that shoot takedowns here and there, but nobody has really been a crazy wrestler. Like Tyron Woodley's the best wrestler that he's probably fought over the last several years, and he went for one takedown and it, easily telegraphed, easily stuffed. But that's really the only crazy takedown offense that Luque has had to go up against. I believe Rodney Brown actually landed a takedown and two on him as well. But here with Chiesa, I think that's pretty much Chiesa's game, right? We've seen what he's been doing over the last couple fights, and he's been doing it pretty well. He's a big 170er. How he made 155 is beyond me, but I think he should have some success here in terms of kind of overpowering and dragging Luque to the ground. Now, I know Luque is a very good BJJ specialist, but I don't think his game off of his back is the greatest. And I think that Chiesa should be able to kind of control him in those situations, land some good shots from on top and stay active enough that the referee won't actually stand them back up. Because if Chiesa is not able to get this fight to the ground, Luque is absolutely going to spark him here. Like Luque is the much better striker in this matchup. I'd be surprised if we see Chiesa have any success in the striking realm of this fight. But I do think that we'll see Chiesa, time and time again, successful in takedown attempts and eventually grinding this fight over 15 minutes. I was considering Chiesa as my dog of the night play. Obviously, those numbers are now long gone, so I'm not going to be doing that. But I will definitely have some untracked plays here on Chiesa, as I do think that he has the chops to go out there and outgrind Luque here. Last thing I'll say about this matchup, I know Chiesa got submitted off of his, while he was on top of Anthony Pettis. But Anthony Pettis, at his best, he has very slick jiu-jitsu, throws up submissions very quickly. He's got numerous high-level fighters in submissions off of his back. And Chiesa is another one of them. Let's not forget, Chiesa went out there and submitted a high-level black belt to Benio Dariush several years ago. So he is very high level in himself and is using his control to the best of his abilities over his last several fights. And I think we'll see the same thing this weekend against Vicente Luque. So unless Luque can stuff takedowns time and time again and just dish out the damage on the feet, which he should absolutely do if this fight is in the striking realm, I just don't see it playing out there too much. So yeah, I like Chiesa here. Chiesa by decision. And yeah, that's who I'm going to be rolling with. Chiesa by decision is currently sitting at plus 240. Don't mind that spot at all. I like Chiesa here. Um, let's see. Vegas saying I'll be in section 7 for 266. I will look at my tickets very shortly and let you guys know. About better. Chiesa decision plus 225. I like it. MMA Kape saying I love Luque, but I have to put my bias to the side here. You're right. Luque hasn't faced any resistance to grappling like he will here. Chiesa via decision is a lovely prop. I agree. Jake C saying I feel like it's a bad stylistic matchup for Luque. I agree. Leon is saying I don't think Chiesa's live for a finish. Another decision prop for me plus 225. Good value. I agree. Jake C. Chiesa could make this a boring fight and keep Luque on the mat. The funny thing is, are fights really boring when you have money on them? Like, you want a boring, low risk fight. That's what Chiesa will probably bring here. Justin Fukuroda is saying Luque by KO. That's definitely his path to victory in this fight. Timar is saying, I think Luque has fought much tougher competition. I absolutely agree. All right. Let's move on to the co-main event now. We got Jose Aldo, -110, going up against Pedro Munoz, -110. A ton of evenly lined fights here. I love it. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of the 12 fights or 13 fights that are on this card are pretty much pick 'em or close to a pick 'em. All right, so Aldo versus Munoz. Very excited for this matchup. Um, I wonder maybe now people are slowly going to get to the point where they're like, okay, maybe Aldo isn't completely washed. Maybe he's washed in 5 round fights, as we always see him go out there and get finished in these 5 round fights. But when he goes 3 rounds, he looks good. There's an argument that he won the Marlon Moraes fight. He had lost that one on the record. Goes out there and beats Marlon Vera in his last fight in a way that we've never seen um, Jose Aldo win a fight. He gets one of the first 2 rounds. It's 1-1 going into the third round, and everybody believes the momentum is on Marlon Vera's side. Historically speaking, Aldo's the one that slows down in third rounds, and his opponents have a lot of success in those rounds. But we saw Aldo go out there and backpack Marlon Vera for freaking 3 or 4 minutes. And luckily for me, Aldo was my lock of the night play that night against Marlon Vera at around -150, so I think the odds were. And I was more than happy to see him kind of grind out that decision. It's never, you never see that from Aldo, right? You never see that grinding, clinch, grappling style from Aldo, but it seems like he's kind of accepted the fact that he's no longer the WEC Aldo. He's no longer the early UFC Aldo. And he's making the good changes and adjustments that he needs to be successful against some of these guys. Now, technically speaking on the feet, I think he's a much better striker than what Pedro Munoz brings to the table. And I think that should be enough for him to go out there and actually get a win over Munoz. Munoz's leg kicks are obviously very deadly and lethal and something that you need to worry about as his opponent. But with his striking with his hands, it's more so just kind of telegraph shots where he's just, trying to knock your head off. But I truly don't think he's this crazy knockout puncher that a lot of people were making him out to be. His leg kicks are probably the most dangerous part of his game other than his guillotine and some of his jiu-jitsu. But I think that we'll see Aldo kind of deal with those calf kicks easily. I think we'll see him check them and then return with some fire of his own. I think that we'll see Aldo go out there and pick apart Munoz over at least 2 rounds and then possibly have to survive the third. I doubt we'll see him backpack Munoz the way he backpacked Marlon Vera. I doubt we'll see him grapple fuck Munoz the way he grapple fuck Vera. But I am confident enough in him for him to go out there and now win at least 2 rounds against a very durable Munoz, in my opinion. I think he'll have trouble putting Munoz away, but I do think that he has all the striking skills to go out there and absolutely put a solid striking whooping on Munoz on the feet for 10 to 12 minutes. So I like 34-year-old Aldo here against a guy in Munoz who I think has kind of just been benefiting from that Cody Garbrandt knockout. The Jimmy Rivera win from last time was a big win, so I'll definitely give him some credit there. But a lot of it was due to that calf kick success that he was having. Will he have that same success here against Jose Aldo? I'd be surprised. You gotta believe that Aldo's going to have some success with defending those calf kicks, with checking them, doing what he needs to do to ensure the damage to his legs is minimal, and then let his striking game go after that. So I do like Aldo here. I see some Pedro Munoz money coming in, but I do like Aldo in the spot. I think he wins this fight via decision. We got Jose Aldo via decision currently sitting at +180. I think that's how this fight goes. Munoz can win this. Like I said, he needs to be successful in terms of marching down Jose Aldo, landing big strikes, hopefully get his calf kicking game going, maybe try to land some takedowns. Jose Aldo has pretty good takedown defense. But Jose Aldo's having, a couple competitive rounds against Piotr Jan. Very competitive against Marlon Moraes. Probably deserved to win that fight. beats Marlon Vera in his last fight. So I still think Aldo is competitive. I don't think he's washed. I think that this is a good stylistic matchup for him to go out there and get another W. So I'm going Jose Aldo via decision. All right, let's see what the chat is saying. Leon is saying, can't wait for dog money on Aldo. That's what it seems like it's going to be headed. Z's MMA, great fight for Aldo. John West is saying, when he was my dark horse in the bantamweight division to give Yad his toughest competition in 2 years. That being said, on Pedro, but not sure if I can select a method. Would you suggest money line or a certain prop? I'd say money line. Again, don't know about his ability to knock out Aldo, and then don't know his ability to, win a solid 10 minutes over Jose Aldo in the spot. I think he's going to get outstruck, to be honest. But yeah, I think money line is good enough if you're taking Munoz. Peachy, I'm going the other way on most of these, bro. I've got bets on Kenney decision. I'm right there with you. Torres decision. Again, that's a toss up to me. Don't mind that. And Luque money line. Again, I like Chiesa there. MMA Cap is saying, lucky enough, my bookie has fight of the night betting lines. I'll be betting this for fight of the night. Would love a calf kicking war between these two. That'll be dope. Tamara saying when he was training at ATT, I think he's got this. He's sharp. He's always been an ATT. Daniel Sapoznikov is saying Jose Aldo, easy win. I could see that. Okay, saying I want Aldo to win, so maybe we could get Aldo versus Dillashaw. That would be a great fight. I would love to see that one. The Vig saying shocking that Aldo is even money. I'm assuming that you like Aldo in the spot. Let's see, Vegas. I can see Aldo getting the KO by a body shot, possibly. Zach A saying Aldo is one of the best defensive fighters, most intelligent fighters in the game. Yeah, as long as his cardio kind of sticks through it, I agree. In a 3-round fight, I like it. Tamara saying, yeah, it's going to be a close fight. I agree with the check kicks as well. A Texas decision for either of them. Steve Sparks, they fight this 10 times. It ends 8 different ways, maybe. Leon is saying Munoz being a couple days older is funny. Yep. But better reminding you guys that Munoz has never been finished. I believe he is very durable. PG is saying, talk me off Aldo max bet. I'm not. I would have max bet him in this spot, but I do think he's a good spot, to be honest. Leon is saying it's 9 a.m. here and I haven't slept. Been up all night watching Club and Sub and Z stream. Appreciate the support that you're showing all of my guys. Peachy saying similar story, Leon, 8 a.m. You guys are crazy. Yeah, it's almost 3 a.m. over here in the Toronto area. Z saying Pedro gets hit so much. Yes, that is absolutely true. We'll see if Aldo is going to be the actual one to put him out of there. Brass Knuckles saying, what's cracking? Appreciate you stopping by, my guy. ZA Work saying, do you think Aldo has the opportunity to get a finish? I really think it can happen. Personally, I don't see it happen. I think it's going to be a decision, but I do see Z's point here and the fact that Pedro does get hit a lot. So we'll see about that. But I do like Aldo by decision in this spot. All right, main event time. Always like to take this time to remind you guys, make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe. And if you guys want to support your boy a little bit more, the Patreon is the best way to do so. $5 a month, ton of great perks on there, not to mention a great Discord community as well that people seem to really enjoy. But again, please do hit that like if you haven't already. We got 133 of y'all in here, 3 a.m. on a Thursday morning. So shout out to you guys for stopping by. All right. Leon is saying these guys are way too fun to interact with. Always trying to fuck with my name. Leon Nesta Stug. I'm gonna keep trying that. Tamara saying 3 a.m. here, living that degenerate South Florida life. I like it. All right, main event time. Cyril Gane minus 355, Derek Lewis plus 270. Do I need to spend 10 minutes on this breakdown? No. We know what Lewis's path to victory is. It's finding that knockout. We know what Gane's path to victory is. Stay away from getting knocked out, and really put it on Lewis. And I think that the later this fight goes, Gane will obviously have a lot of opportunities to capitalize and get a finish. Now, this narrative of Gane just being a decision fighter is just so overblown, right? Like, look at his last two opponents. Alexander Volkov, very dangerous, good cardio himself. Jairzinho Rosenstrike, mainly a striker, mainly a knockout puncher. That's kind of usually his way to win. But I feel like he has better cardio than Derek Lewis and better ability to kind of capitalize on moments than Derek Lewis, technically speaking, with the striking. Derek Lewis, on the other hand, seems like he gets his ass beat until he finds that knockout. Now, the difference here, I feel like Gane will have compared to going 5 rounds with Volkov and Jairzinho is that Lewis, when he has those lulls, when he has those spots where he doesn't do anything, I think those are the spots that Gane is going to take full advantage of. Rip the body kick, work the body as much as possible, slow down Lewis even more, nullify those blitz attacks from Lewis. Great footwork from Gane. He's going to have the full cage to work with here, the full 30-footer. Stay away from the power shots of Lewis. And then when Lewis stops those blitz attacks, that's when he's at his weakest, right? That's when he empties the gas tank. That's when he thinks he's going to get the knockout. But when he doesn't get the knockout here against Gane, he's going to be eating hell from Gane, in my opinion. I think we'll see Gane take full advantage of those instances. Maybe look for a takedown in those spots, or even just look to let go on the feet, and he could potentially find a body shot finish. I think it could come from a body shot. If Gane truly wants zero resistance in this fight, he could look to get Lewis down. Obviously he's gonna have to work on the feet a little bit to get Lewis thinking that this is mainly going to be a striking fight, and then eventually intelligently seek the clinch, drag the fight to the ground, and just dominate in there. He could absolutely do that. But Derek Lewis has that crazy power that could just come out of nowhere. So first and foremost, just like I said last week with Uriah Hall, if you're backing the underdog in the spot, take the KO prop. With Derek Lewis, he's not winning a decision here. I know he's won decisions over Blagoy Ivanov and fucking Ilir Latifi, but Cyril Gane is not any of those guys. Plus, he has 5 rounds to work with. So Lewis by KO is probably the best way to go. Maybe even play some Lewis round props if you want to get crazy with it. But I think that this is Gane's fight from the beginning to the end. And I think the end will probably come in the 3rd or 4th round. So the spot that I actually feel most confident about on this fight specifically is the under 4.5. It's at minus 180 from the last time I checked on it. I think that Gane, will get the finish probably in the 3rd round, maybe the 4th round, but that also covers the possibility that Lewis goes out there and gets a finish as well. Yeah, I like Gane in the spot. Might parlay him in a couple spots as well for my degenerate plays. But I do think he goes out there and gets a finish, just working the body, staying consistent with Lewis. I don't think that we'll see Gane as gun shy as people were making him out to be. Again, completely different opponents with Alexander Volkov and Jairzinho Rosenstrike. In my opinion, way more dangerous fighters over 25 minutes compared to what he's going to be getting with Lewis in spurts. Like, Lewis is good in spurts, whereas Volkov and Rosenstrike could turn it on at any moment. And at Gane, I think he was very cognizant of that. And I think he's going to go out there and make a statement here against Derek Lewis. So I'm going Gane. 3rd round TKO. I will play some round props for him as well. But I think Gane wins this fight. But the most of my money is probably going to go to the under 4.5. So yeah, I like it. I like Gane to get the interim title fight. I can't wait to see him go up against Francis. I'll probably be back Gane there as well. I think he's going to be the underdog in that spot. But I do like Gane to win this fight. I do want to quickly say, I think they have released odds on Gane versus Francis. Yeah, Gane versus Francis plus 165 for Cyril Gane. I would eat that. I would take some of that. But yeah, for this weekend, I got Cyril Gane. I think he gets the late finish in this fight. All right, let's see what the chat is saying, and then I'm going to work my way out of here since we're pretty much done the breakdowns. Zach Casing, Lewis via flying go plot around 1. Jake C saying pound for pound worst pay-per-view main event in 2021 so far. Maybe. Should still be fun. I'm seeing a lot of these MFN Hester saying gone by submission. It's just so discouraging to see him not go for takedowns and submissions against guys like he should, like he didn't do as much against Jairzinho Rosenstrike, right? Again, that's definitely his path of least resistance. Let's see, Vegas saying Andre has a lot of value in my opinion. Lewis KO, of course, or gone late, round 3, round 4, body kick. I agree. Absolutely agree. Sorry, just catching up with the live chat. Yeah, it seems like everybody's pretty much on the same thing here, right? Leon saying gone inside the distance, plus 110. Not bad. JC saying with the title on the line, I think Gone could play it safe. Again, Lewis is just so vulnerable in those in between moments, especially when fights hit the third round. He's just so vulnerable in those spots. I feel like a guy as clean as Gone could definitely take advantage of that. Daniel Moreno saying when Lewis and Francois were to play in the sun in Africa instead of fight, I damn near spit my water out. Lewis is funny. Yeah, Lewis is great. All right. Seems like Parmar's Chronicles saying, did your Patreon price go down? It's always been $5, or at least it's been $5 since mid last year, mid 2020. I changed it. I initially dropped the Patreon November of 2019, I believe it was. And that was more so, I had no idea what I was doing with it at that time. Wanted to put all this different type of content on there. Definitely could not keep up with it. And then it's just slowly changed over time. But $5 is where I'm going to keep it at. Vig saying under 4.5 and minus 180 seems bad after 2 drawn out fights against powerful primary strikers that were never close to a finish. Do you mean seems pretty bad as in like it should be higher? Like I don't understand that. I think that Lewis is way more live to be finished than those past 2 guys that gone fought, to be honest. Let's see, Vegas saying, what's your opinion on this pay-per-view? All I see is people shitting on it. It's pretty similar to 262, and that card was great. Yeah, I think people are just being too harsh, to be honest. Parmer's Chronicles saying, really love your content, and send this JC. I don't see what these guys are saying, but it's all good. DFS Whisperer, good man. Good night, man. Appreciate the fire content. And always, man's grinding at 3 a.m. That's what we do. Blaze in the chat saying the Discord alone is worth 20 bucks a month. That thing is booming. Yeah. Appreciate everybody in the Patreon. You guys are fucking awesome. All right. That's pretty much a wrap. A couple people are asking for parlays. Again, I haven't played anything myself in terms of my DGen parlays. Parlay pieces I'd be looking at: Cyril Gane, um, Kenney. I like him in the spot. Fiziev, but not on crazy amounts of parlays. I do think that fight's going to play relatively close, but I will have some spots with him with parlays. Kape, I think, is a great spot as well. Johnny Munoz is definitely going to be one of my higher up parlay spots that I'm going to be doing this week. And then, yeah, the under 4.5 in the Gane and Lewis fight. I really like that as well. All right, I'll take these last couple questions. Then I'm going to get the fuck up on out of here. Ben Kane saying lost a ton of money going against Lewis last time. I don't know what to do. This one's in his hometown. Take the under. Take the under. Just as I should have taken the under in the Blades and Lewis fight as well, considering I expected Blades to get the finish. Headley one saying Lewis round 5 plus 4,000, round 4 plus 3,600. Always worth the spot. All right. That's a wrap for me. Again, check out the Patreon if you guys want to show your boys some more support. Obviously, like my guy Blaze was saying, ton of value just on the Discord alone. Those guys are awesome. And yeah, coolbet.com. Use promo code MMALOTN2 to match your initial deposit up to $200. Yeah, that's a wrap. Should be back tomorrow with propping you up in the evening. Friday should be an early Ultimate Weigh-In show as soon as the weigh-ins wrap up. Haven't announced a guest yet, but I will as soon as I can. And yeah, the pre-recorded version of this podcast should drop just before the afternoon tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to. I'll probably won't finish it tonight. I'm kind of tired. But yeah, pre-recorded show will come out around tomorrow afternoon. That's Thursday. And yeah, Friday Ultimate Weigh-In show, and then Saturday. Still don't know if I'm going to be doing a fight day live chat, considering I'll be visiting my in-laws and flying out of province for that. But I'll see if I can sketch out some time for you guys. All right, appreciate the love, appreciate the support. If you haven't already, make sure you guys hit that like on the way out. Great way to show your boys some support. And I will see you guys throughout the week. Peace.